AMVs have been around for a very long time, a lot longer than people realize. Back in the day, they were made with 2 VCRs, with pause, play, and dubbing in music into the VCR. And some of these, yes?
Yeah, technically, even one of the first ones of the AMVs was actually the Disney Channel. They had what was DTV, which they would take old Disney cartoons and they would put them to.
Yeah, well, I was going to get to that.
Okay.
Well, technically, one of the first fan-made music videos ever made was actually made by the people of Studio Gainax before they were Studio Gainax. There were just a bunch of people that wanted to get into the industry, so they made a fan music video for a convention in Japan called Daikon. And if any of you have seen the Daikon animations, there's 2 of them. The famous bunny girl from the Daikon videos. They're worth a look if you want to see a bunny girl fighting with lightsabers against Darth Vader, stuff like that, or going Cylon ships and Star Wars characters and Marvel characters. It's an interesting thing to look up and watch. And because of that, they pretty much got Studio Gainax going. And people, fans, pretty much started this. If anyone has seen any of the really old music videos, they're very simple, but they're still pretty hard to do. Even just simple cuts from one scene to another. If you don't get the timing right, if you don't select the right concept or the right theme, it just kind of, you just kind of watch it and you go, wow, that was a waste of time. So pretty much with AMVs, if you want to make an AMV, the first thing you need to think of is concept. What do I want to make? And personally, I like to look at what others have made in a similar area that I'm interested in. Like if I want to do comedy to a certain AMV, I'll look up AMVs done to that anime and see what other people have done, because remaking a video that someone else has done, if you think you can make it better, yes, but it's kind of, I shouldn't say a rude thing to do, but if no one should stop you from making it. It's just a good way to get started by not tromping on somebody else's work. So concept, probably one of the hardest concepts to do is comedy. This is my personal opinion because everyone has different senses of humor. I've run the AMV contest for Bonsai every year except for this year. I'm taking a break. And we've had videos entered as drama, as action, and we put them in comedy. Last year we had a Death Note video that was entered as a drama. We put it in comedy and it won. And we got an email from her saying, this is the second time my drama video has won an award in comedy. So concept is a very tricky animal to figure out. It's hard to explain as well, but concept, you have to have a good concept. If you're just going flat, I like this anime, I like this music, blah. Mm-hmm. Technically that would be category X, or we call it category X, other people just call it whatever they want to call it. But that's pretty much, a lot of you may have seen some of the Nostromo works. He's pretty famous now. And just going from one scene to another with music you like, time to a beat, that is a category X. Some of the diehards that do AMVs kind of look down at category X because there's no real concept to it other than trying to do an effects-heavy video. Mm-hmm. But personally, an effects-heavy video, if you do it right, it's entertaining to watch. So I guess if you're thinking of category X, your target would be to make something entertaining.
I don't want to plug you over, but if that is 0, you know how to turn it back on or off.
Which button?
The projector's going to turn itself off. It's the panel, the silver panel on the right. Or just put a signal to it now and it'll keep it on.
Oh, that's what we're trying to do.
Well, is there any questions on concept? Because it's a hard thing to try to explain to people because Some people might think it's easy, but you sit down and you're thinking, wow, what am I going to do? What scenes am I going to pick? Am I going to match it to the lyrics? Am I going to time to the beat?
Right.
What am I going to do here? Because that's technically your concept.
Because yeah, there's been too many times. I mean, I guess this. I'm sure you can go on this later about emphasizing storyboarding. Because I've seen too many AMVs. Like I go through a video and say, "Oh yeah, the general theme of this of the anime matches the general theme of this song." I
Yeah.
watched the theme.
Some people
the
storyboard.
lyrics and the scenes have nothing in common, and so it falls dead.
Yeah, some people storyboard before they start, but before you start, you need to nail down your concept.
Right.
What am I going to do? Am I just going to do random scenes timed to the music, or am I going to actually try to tell a story here?
Right.
So you can go to YouTube or animemusicvideos.org, which is the best community website for music videos. People on the boards can be a little harsh, but they're honest. And that's one thing that, as an AMV creator, you have to put up a lot of with is criticism. And the way I look at it is, look at it as constructive criticism. Try to fix your mistakes, figure out what you did wrong, watch your video again, and if you've made videos since that one, look back at your old work and see, what did I do wrong, what would I have changed? That's how you improve. But Bentley's back now. You want me to keep talking? I can be pretty boring.
As the machine comes up, sure.
Did it turn off?
Yeah.
The controls is on that silver box over there. Now Bentley here is a friend of mine. I've made several AMVs, and I used to, if you've been to Bonsai previously, I put together the DVDs that we used to hand out. And he is starting to work on his first music video, and he was just going to share with you some of his experiences that he has experienced while he's trying to figure out, what am I doing? What is this program called Adobe Premiere? This thing looks confusing.
Give me a second.
You know, if I loaded up After Effects, you'd probably have a heart attack on it, but
After Effects is okay.
Will there be an AMV DVD again handed out at Bonsai?
it depends on if I can ever get enough money to make it again, because I have to pay for it out of my own pocket. And having a DVD pressed is not cheap.
Well, I appreciate when I got one. 1 year.
There's a very good probability that we will have more of the AMV DVD 9 at the AMV contest tomorrow. So if you missed out on getting one last year, you will have another opportunity to.
Yeah, it's just the disc though, not the case or the booklet.
Yeah.
There wasn't one last year.
And get this configured and set up. You talked about the concepts of.
I've talked about the concept.
Okay.
I was going to get
genres.
into.
Okay.
I talked briefly about Kinetics being the black sheep.
Okay. So it sounds like Adam has discussed the Kinetics category. Kinetics can be one of the difficult ones to do. Mainly because that's the one that gets real effects heavy nowadays. If you've looked at AMV videos before, I don't know how many of you have seen the works by Nostromo out of France. Just very technical, very well refined, and that seems to pop up in CADX almost more than any other category, because a lot of the strength of CADX videos comes from blending different sources of video into a nice visually appealing. So it tends to be effects heavy, and people use things like After Effects quite heavily. Can you talk about any of the others yet? No. Okay. There are often generally 4 categories that the music videos are considered in. Gainax is one of them. There's also drama, action, and comedy. All of these have their own appeal, and they also have their downsides. And if you have an interest in creating a video, there are probably a few things to have in mind for that. Again, while Kinetics has a lot of the effects heavy, you're going to have there's a lot of kind of strong competition out there, especially from people who are very knowledgeable. However, it allows you a lot of leeway. Kinetics is where a lot of the using footage from various shows can be some of the most effective, is in category X. So if you'd like to make a montage, if you'd like to use a bunch of different sources, especially really visually appealing ones, Kinetics would be one to look at. Probably another one that is a bit of a black sheep is comedy. Now, one of the reasons for that is everyone has their own concept of what comedy is.
I touched this briefly.
Oh, you touched that briefly?
I said comedy is one of the hardest categories to make a video for because of different concepts of what comedy is by different people.
Yeah, and another thing too with comedy, not only do you not necessarily know if what you find amusing will be amusing to others, is one of the kind of easy traps to fall into is length. Now, there are many things that can be funny, especially in the short term, but if they kind of drag out to longer videos, you can lose a lot of effect.
It's very hard to make a good comedy video over 4 minutes.
Yeah. In fact, a good majority will be in between. A majority of the really effective ones seem to be in between the 1.5 to 2 minutes range. So, if you're looking at making a comedy video, that would be something to kind of keep in mind beforehand.
Yeah.
Whether to use a shorter edit of a song or to edit out smaller pieces.
Yeah. 2 words: radio edit.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, kind of touching on this is if you go into the AMV competition this year. I'm not going to name any names, but there's one example of a comedy video that is a bit too long for its concept. And so something to keep in mind if you go to the AMV contest this year. It's from a very known creator. It was kind of surprising that it wasn't as effective as it was, but just something to look out for.
Yeah, it's like those AMV hells and BHEX. I mean, sure they're funny, but I don't think I can stand sitting an hour or half an hour.
Well, the
on a thing.
AMV Hell series is a perfect example
Yeah.
of what people find funny.
Right.
Because when I watch AMV Hell, I only find about maybe 15% of it funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus other people laugh at almost every skit that's on AMV Hell.
Yes, how do you go about some issues with copyright?
Okay. Well, one of the biggest issues with copyright is that as you are using both clips and sound to create a new product, that so far it has generally fallen under the realm of fair use. Basically, creation of AMVs is something that hasn't gone, it's never been an issue that's really made it into court, because a lot of the companies don't necessarily want to go through the process. So right now it's still generally in the clear because it hasn't really come and gone through the process. So it's generally understood that it's in the fair use realm at this point in time.
Some companies have actually gone out and said that they look at it as advertising, but companies change,
Yeah.
opinions change.
Although I once did post a AMV on YouTube, and the music company got yanked.
Yeah, sometimes the video will be marked as fair use, but if you don't edit the audio enough, Sometimes it will not fall under fair use.
Yeah, so if there is a problem with AMV from companies, most likely right now you're going to be looking at it from the music side of the equation.
Yeah, 'cause I was gonna say the same thing, so YouTube pulling your video off for copyright or whatever, is that just not having edited the music enough, or what?
Generally, it really depends on the company. Some companies are really possessive.
This is Warner.
Yeah, Evanescence and a couple other artists have had all their videos removed from animemusicvideos.org by request of the music company. When Evanescence actually said that they don't mind this, they actually like some of them, but it wasn't them that made the decision, it was the music company. But personally, animemusicvideos.org is a better place to post your work than on YouTube. Although YouTube may get you more hits, animemusicvideos.org is a dedicated community just for AMVs, and it can get you really good exposure.
Yeah. Something else also with using animemusicvideos.org to post your videos is that you can post a more full, complete source. As opposed to with YouTube, you have to worry about file constraints a bit more. You may not be able to post as high a definition video as you could hosting it on AMV.org.
They have free file hosting. You just upload a format, and it can be up to, I've seen up to 300 meg files on the org. They just ask that you donate to help keep the servers up and running.